Hello, good. Well, once again, Kyle Albert, a sub member. My question is not a difficult question. I mean, last year we talked about how do we keep the engagement going beyond IGF. I mean, you all discussed, had some stuff that you all wanted to do. I just want to ask in terms of this year, how do we keep this momentum? I mean, what ideas do you have in mind so we can have not at IGF next year, but also keep people involved and actively engaged before that time? I cut you off too, Rasha.
Can I ask you, did you think we did a good job last year keeping momentum going? No pressure.
Well, a good job was done. I mean, there's always ways to improve and make things better. There's always room for improvement. I mean, we're not perfectionists, but we always try to improve in areas where we can. So in so in effort to improve the event and keep it going, what ideas or what suggestions are things that you all would like to see happen going forward?
Yes, thanks for the question. One of the things that we can do and plan to do, and it ties in with the recommendation from last year, is to actually create some content out of the presentations this week. Content also out of the, you noticed that the young lady in red was doing some interviews, and she was, doing some recording to create a production at the end of this. So we plan to do some 5 to 10 minute segments that we can publish on social media, pull some highlights out of the panel discussions, and and promote those throughout the year. That would continue the visibility with respect to the discussions and so on. Of course, a report will come out of this. That will be circulated for public consultation, and based on the recommendations too, we may shape different initiatives around that. So it might, for example, if with the child online protection, that project that was mentioned is something that we can probably look to implement through our membership, to engage our membership to help implement, and that would give us visibility. We also engage in the regional and global fora. So the Caribbean Internet Governance Forum, the national forums within our sister chapters, St. Vincent, Trinidad and Tobago. We try to organize remote hubs around those and send out invitation to our members. Those are less subscribed. We don't get a lot, but at least that also keeps the momentum going, because we would have already benefited from this discussion, and the input from here or the output from here would help us to make interventions in those regional forums.
Nobody else has any questions? We could go home? That's it then?
Good afternoon, Stephen Williams, Barbados IT Professional Association. I'll be encouraged if the organization looks to open up some dialogue with other ICT associations, because this platform, first of all, congratulations. I saw a distinct difference between last year's structure and this year, so congratulations. Let me get that out of the way. What I would say is that I think that interesting thing, we talk about dialogue and integration, but maybe there is integration we can start with amongst our individual organizations as well, where the next forum doesn't necessarily have to be IGF, led or ISOC, but you can take the structure that y'all have built and probably have another forum or another participation at level numbers. Then I'm looking at the training now, because I'm on the development side in terms of the professionals. Right? And what y'all have brought was a good structure, a good perspective to the wider community, and maybe take that and probably have a different type of forum. So I think what Kyle was saying was, how do we keep it going? Maybe not the same format and agenda or objectives, but maybe something a little bit different that may be sectorally specific.
So we as an association, I saw Barbados Chapter, would love to have our calendar filled with girls in ICT and IGF and Digital Barbados and Girls Power Tech and 100,000 Barbados remote hubs and all the other internet governance and internet related events that we could possibly have. The reality of the situation is that these things take planning, they take effort, and this is a volunteer effort. And if we are to do all of those things without falling victim to volunteer burnout, we need more volunteers. Because I'm sure that the people in this room who have been to IGF before, who've been to other events, know that you see the same faces all the time. And this is a thing in Barbados. Perhaps this is what happened when you live on a rock, right? You see the same faces at the same types of events. And to answer both your and Carl's question, I would say the way to keep this momentum going and to be able to do more things and different things would be to constantly have fresh blood, constantly have people who are fresh-faced and passionate and excited about something and haven't yet been worked to death by me, right? And I think that one of the things that will help with that is what we're doing, one of the new things that we've been doing in terms of the videos and doing the interviews and getting the word out there that this is a thing that people could be involved in. So I don't know if Ronnie or David want to add.
I would like to second that comment, and I would like to include that I'm actually very heartened by the number of what I would consider new faces in here that we did not see necessarily last year or at previous ISOC meetings. It shows that our ability to reach out to sort of non-traditional ICT people that you see in every IT event is working. It's important for us, I believe, to help people to understand, especially where ISOC is concerned, that we're supposed to represent not just IT people specifically, but society. And unless what we're doing is benefiting society, then we're really wasting our time. So hopefully we can work along with our other organizations like BIPA, ISA, and then sort of to bring the benefits of digital transformation into the wider society, and work with, alongside, as Steve was saying, different sectors to show how digital transformation can benefit them. And that may be something we may have to look at how we best do it. But it's something we'd definitely like to do while still hopefully getting enough new members. And for those of you who haven't signed up to be a member of ISOC Barbados as yet, ISOC.org, and then just sign up, join the Barbados chapter. It's free, like this event. So please do so, and we could use the help.
Sir.
Okay, again, Glenn Fielding from GeoLinks Consultancy, Inc. First of all, let me say before I leave that I thank you for opening up the opportunity for me to be fresh blood. And certainly, I would like to put my hand up in terms of wanting to have a different perspective. I certainly congratulate you on the conference. And yesterday morning, you asked a question, and it was discussed in terms of the report. When the report goes to the stakeholders, what gets implemented out of that. And what I'm interested in is not just the governance aspect, but also the aspects of how do you manage the various risks that would have been discussed in the last 2 days. What are the regulations and the kind of regulatory environment that you need to have in place if you want to have things like cryptocurrency, blockchain, etc. You need to have a regulatory environment, and I know about that because I was a former regulator at the FTC. And then also with the best will in the world, if you don't have compliance to the regulations and the laws and the standards, you've really gone nowhere. So 2 observations. I don't know if everyone in here is at the level of the governors in the Barbados Business and Social Society. I don't presume to say where they are, but I was observing to see how many known governors in the society I could see in the room. I don't recognize too many of them. And so the question is, how do you get to them going up? And how do you then filter the training down so that when you come to implement these things, that you've prepared the people, you train them, you get their participation, you put together a cohesive plan. And then one of the key things that we don't do in Barbados is that we don't practice anything. So we go and try to implement things without having simulated them, put the practice in place and so on. So I'm advocating that you go beyond the governance and also look at strengthening risk management and risk assessments, etc., strengthening regulations and cutting out a lot of the unnecessary regulation, going to more self-regulation rather than everything being a law, and also then making sure that when you do put regulations in place, that there is some level of compliance with the regulations, standards, etc. So thank you very much, and that is my comment. I observe everything, and I thought just before I leave, I would leave you with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll just make one comment. Last year, we talked about sandbox regulations in our recommendations. And we will, be, as I mentioned before, be circulating the recommendations from this year's forum. But we would love someone like yourself to expand on that recommendation further, to say, well, here are some elements that you could consider within. Because we talked about sandbox regulation, but if it was that easy, I mean, every country would already have it. So it'd be good to look at what are some of the risks associated with these new cryptocurrencies, the things that would concern the regulators like the central bank and so on, and say, okay, these are some of the things that, you know, that would need to be considered within this sandbox, you know, regulatory regime, et cetera. So we could value your input, especially in that area. Thanks.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jabari Garnes, information technician at the Hilton Barbados Resort and recent graduate. My question to you guys is, what will, in future forums, will we be able to bring on more of a legal aspect to the forum? Because throughout the forum, what I saw was that there is a disparity between the technocrats and the legal practitioners. And going forward in the future, with the minister and the prime minister saying that we're going to have to get a legal framework for all these ICT communications, the Data Privacy Acts, telecommunications, all those things need to come together. There currently is a separation between what we as IT professionals understand and what the legal practitioners understand. They're the ones who are writing the laws. So the Internet Society, BIPA, and other organizations who have the knowledge of how this technology works and what it's used for need to come together with the legal fraternity and the university with the younger students. I myself am going back in September to do a law degree because I saw that as a need going forward. I wanted to know what the organization would hope to do in terms of bridging that gap to make sure that future legislation that has to be written and amended and going forward, so it's not just a one-time, one-off change. So you're going to need people who are versed in both fields to continue to regulate, continue to come up with new things to tackle the new issues that will come about. Because as we saw with BIT and whatnot, blockchain, who knows what's coming next in terms of innovation. We need to have a plethora of people in government, private sector, legal fraternity, who are there to be a framework to tackle those things that come ahead. So I just want to know what we're going to do going forward.
Well, I think the first thing that we need to do is to convince people that the Internet Society is not for tech people. I think even after, what's it been, 2 years, that we still have that. I literally had somebody say to me only a few weeks ago, but I thought that was for like IT people. So I don't profess to have all of the answers in terms of how do we, as you say, bridge the gap between the IT people and the people who need to create the laws that enable this environment. But certainly bringing them together would be the first step.
I will say that a few things, make a few points. One, last year we had at least one panel specifically speaking to regulations, legislation, and the law. We didn't necessarily put that specifically on a panel this year. I do know, however, that I can think of at least 2 or 3 legal persons who were with us over the last 2 days. So we are not entirely without lawyers represented in the room. In terms of having specifically sessions geared towards lawyers, I don't know how that would necessarily work. We might have to end up doing something along the lines of some sort of outreach events, sector-specific outreach events, one of which might be, geared towards the Barbados Bar Association, for example. But we do recognize that we have to get beyond these 4 walls and go into the different sectors of the economy to meet those persons where they live. So going forward, I believe that's going to be one of our main thrusts, to make sure that, we are speaking the same language.
Charles?
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon. I just want to say a very good thanks to the Internet Society for putting on this forum. I think it was very educational and informative. And I think that you got the involvement of, a market segment for your work in terms of the blockchain and cryptocurrencies and so on. But where you wanted to take it is, I think, where you just left off, that we have to get them where they are. And in terms of getting them where they are, I'm thinking that, depending on the topic, because like for child protection, for example, I think that we need to go more in the community, because we're talking about parents, and there's some parents who would not have been able to come here for 2 days to find out what is going on. So I think from that point of view, the cryptocurrency, the blockchain, and so yes, you probably get the ones who you're trying to target would come here because they will come to KFIL, right? But like the parents now. So I think you have to go out in the community and perhaps have sessions targeted towards parents for those types of issues.
Agreed.
Completely. And what we had done within the chapter this year was we had created some working groups, one of which was aimed at outreach. So we've recognized that that's something we need to do, and we're actively pursuing it, and we're going to get better at it.
Yeah. Let me first begin by saying that it was a pleasure and an honor to be here. You usually think of yourself as not tech savvy, but in the field that I am in, which is the creative arts, transferring music files and other things, you want to have a sense of the sacredness of your work and intellectual property. So I commend you for having had this forum. The thing that I would say, though, is it is often said that you want the youth involved, but there are older people like myself who are not tech savvy, who are on the cutting edge of doing things or revisiting how they see themselves, because they come from a background of education and art. So now I'm building my network and so forth. So I want to say that even though you may want to target the younger people, don't forget that as your brain ages and convolutes, it also has capacity. So you may want to also include BARP and other associations like that. And there are people who are surprisingly technically savvy who are older and can be part of that volunteer grouping. So that is a consideration. The other thing I wanted to say is that this has been a valuable place for networking. I was able to interface with people whom I would not have seen. And I thank Rodney too, because it was his ad, or the ad that he did, that prompted me to come, because I would never have thought to come here, because I was like, I don't know nothing about that. But he said it's for everyone, come and learn about this and so on. So it's part of a learning curve, and I think sometimes we forget how important learning is as an exercise. So I want to commend you all. I will join the association.
Excellent.
And I will volunteer. I travel intermittently, so wherever I am, I want to know that I'm connected. So I commend you. I wish you well. I pray for your continued success.
Next question, comment?
More of a comment than a question. More or less what some of the others have been saying. I was sent notification of this event by a good friend of mine, and once I saw internet governance, I was like, ugh, this for IT people. And she was trying to encourage me to come. I was like, ugh, IT people. But something just told me, it's a free event, freeness. Let's see what I can learn. Let's see what I can learn from this. So I was like, okay, both days, but I was completely surprised by by the different things that people talked about: child protection, cryptocurrencies, and the feminist thing, and many other things, online harassment, and many other things, and it caught me completely off guard. I actually learned a lot more. Yes, there were some stuff that had me scratching my head, but I'm a linguist and all, but still, I am glad to have come. I'm glad to have learned, and as everyone else said, this was a wonderful place to network with others. I had ended up getting contacts from many different divisions, many different aspects, even from different countries in the world, that sort of thing. And I'm glad to have come, and I would love to know whatever ways I could take part, contribute, maybe become a member myself.
Not maybe.
Yeah.
Definitely become a member. Were you finished? Okay, so the Internet Society, the global organization, their kind of unofficial tagline is "the Internet is for everyone," and we really have been trying to push that, as not just because mommy say so, but because we see the value in having. I mean, we already have the Barbados ICT Professionals Association. What will be the point in creating another group for tech people to meet every month and talk to each other? So we're trying to do something different here, and we understand that it's new, and we're really, really happy that whoever your friend was able to convince you, and we want we want more of that. We want to be able to reach people outside of our circle, our professional circles, and have, maybe next year, 10 more people who didn't think that they could get anything out of it, but realized that they could. You have another question, Carl?
Well, more comment on the question. That's a comment. Just like to thank the group, Ronnie, David, Ashel, Mr. Jason, but this is a long way from where we started. And just thinking back a couple of years back, when we first officially launched the chapter, I think it was our first event, St. Lawrence Castle, and looking around, we had like 10 people or 5 people. And we have came a long way over the years. And I can say this confidently that I have seen the society reach the point where we always thought we wanted to be in terms of the level of support, the level of engagement. And I just hope I can continue throughout the years. And I mean, everybody give yourself a big round of applause because you all did a fantastic job. And it's just good work.
To say over the years is a bit misleading, Kyle. We've only existed for like just under 2 years now.
2 years is years. He's
not
grammatically correct.
not really, but let's looking back from where we started and we doing events and having this discussion. As I said, these events take planning, and then you're always trying to cater for how much people you can have, how much people you feel can turn out, if the people not attend. And we had our fair share of back and forth about our discussion. If we think it's going to fly, if it's not going to work, but I'm glad to see that people are finally now catching up, and everybody's understand that the Internet Society, or those Internet Society, is not only about Internet people or not tech people, it's about everybody. So, and the messages finally start to come across. There's still some people that still need a couple pushing, but eventually it's getting there, and people realize that we have a society where we can discuss broad issues and not only stuff related to the Internet. If I had to add one other point, in terms of the whole governance, it'd be a nice idea to actually, because the policymakers and the regulators who actually have developed the policy, but it'd be nice to have more discussion with those people, especially when they're looking to introduce new policy. It'd be nice to have a voice in that forum. I don't know how you get to that point eventually yet, but it'd be nice to explore that to see where we can have a part to play, especially with any new regulation or any new governance in relation to ITC policy.
Right, thank you, Kyle. Two very quick comments, and then we have to close. I'll take Celia and then Albert.
Is the mic on?
Hello? Okay. Yes, I just wanted to say that I consider that this was an extremely successful conference, and I think it would be timely now, given all that we have heard, I think it would be timely now for you to establish an Internet Society Barbados Chapter research fund, because it seems to me that you would be needing to do a lot of research, and you don't have to go far to find the contributions, because you have a whole set of people in your email. So there you have a start. That's my suggestion for now.
Thank you.
Yes, Albert, the last comment.
Albert Daniels, I can.
Online? Sorry, one second. Is there an online question? Okay, Albert, go ahead first, and then we'll take that. That's the last one for sure.
Yeah, just quickly to congratulate everybody who's been involved in this and to recognize, the fact that there's some people who are not on the stage who are working really hard. This guy, Jason Hines, you guys might remember, he picked me up at the hotel 3 o'clock in the morning to come to UE because we had a readout, and this was even before the Internet Society Chapter had been started, and it took a little bit of work and effort, a lot of effort to get things going, and I don't know who everybody is, but I know these three on the stage, I know Jason, I know the tech people who are always working, but please support them, the rest of you, because they work really hard, and it's as a result of those efforts that we can see the kind of successes that we had here over the last 2 days. Congratulations to the entire team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Shannon Clark is online, and she's actually asked 3 questions.
He,
Sorry.
it's the same Shannon.
Does the proposed Data Protection Act support the right to be forgotten that was made popular with the GDPR legislation? Does the proposed Data Protection Act apply to overseas providers, Google, Facebook, Snapchat, who already host personal data for the majority of Barbadians? And why does the proposed Data Protection Act require that users would need to pay data controllers in order to retrieve their own data?
Right, thanks for the question, Shannon. We are fortunately not going to be able to answer those now, but we will ensure that the questions are captured within the report as questions coming in from our online participants, and we would hopefully shape some recommendations around the whole Data Protection Act, because it is being circulated now for public comment, and we as a chapter can comment on that. Thank you.
Okay, so that